I'm Justin Davis, and this is Drone Camps RC. If you like the honest reviews, you want to win a KOPIS 2 SE, click on the link below, and you can get entered in to win this in September 2018. So, link is going to be active down there. Click it, and support me on my videos. That would be awesome. Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Justin Davis. I do honest reviews, and today we're going to check out the Bayangtoys X22 and everything included with it. It's $200 for this drone. Is this drone worth the money for a dual GPS drone with a 3-axis gimbal and 1080p on board? We're going to find out. We're also going to find out about the modes and how well this drone performed. Skywatch.Ai insurance is on demand, and anytime you need it, check out the link below. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Down into the center, that's going to arm the motors and let you take off. Up to the right and to the bottom left, that's going to put you in compass calibration mode. And then you're going to do this crazy sort of figure 8 around in a circle. There's the land button and the high and low speeds on the top left-hand side. And down here at the bottom, we have the headless mode, we have photo mode right there, and video mode is right there. And in the very center right there, that's return to home button if you need to do it manually. And this is GPS on and off, and the buttons over here on the left are supposed to be follow me in orbit mode like on the X21, but it doesn't actually work on here. And we have up to 20 satellites right now, so we're good to take off. And I can just go ahead and arm the motors down into the center, and you can do this if you just push up a little bit, it actually auto takes off by itself, which is kind of neat. And once we're up right now, it's actually pretty darn windy right now, and it is biting into the wind. Let this X22 sit there and maintain a good hover before you go ahead and take off for your first flight. That's super important to maintain, and go ahead and let that compass lock in its position. If you see it toilet bowling too much, you don't want to fly off just yet, because this guy is notorious for the toilet bowl effect. If it starts to wander a lot, especially when you're flying it, try to land it as soon as you can. Now I am good to go now. I can go ahead and go out and start my flight. I'm just going to go out right here, and I press record on the app. And this is one thing about this drone, very interesting, that I didn't get any video recorded down to the SD card, and I tried 2 different SD cards. I tried the 4 gig that came with it. That should be plenty of time for recording 1080p video, stabilized 1080p video to the SD card, but that didn't happen. It only recorded to the app, which can then be transferred to the phone, which is going to be not half as good as the video. It's going to be recorded down to the SD card. So that's one con of this drone so far. Right now I'm doing a range test. We're out right now around 320 meters. Just past the field out there, past those trees on the horizon line, is about 300 meters. And that's right about where the Wi-Fi is actually going to start breaking up. And what it'll do first is it'll just freeze up on you, and then the screen is going to go blank back to that little airplane on the screen. And you'll still have stick control. You'll still actually be able to fly the drone, but you're going to be doing it at line of sight at that point. So keep that in mind. If you start to see your video stutter, that means you're heading out of range. And out of range, I mean close to 300 meters. But I was able to make it out to about 320 before it actually did completely lose video. So that's pretty good. And I can see my real-time view on here is pretty good now. And we can go ahead and can try the orbit mode, or we can also try that follow me mode that it has as well. I'm going to try to get a few of these different modes shown for you today, because I haven't seen anyone else do it in a review, so I might as well try to get all that done for you guys in this review and make this review worthwhile. Some people seem to only have had enough time to be able to do one mode on here, so that's kind of unfortunate for those of you who want to buy this drone. So I'm going to try to make this review as full as possible for you. And right now I'm just going to check and see that I can pull this mode up, and you can see the shadow of that drone wandering right there in the grass. It is toilet bowling just a little bit. It's not holding a perfect hover. I've seen DJI drones just hold a perfect hover, just lock solid in one place. But then again, that's DJI, and that's also a lot more money. And the drone actually did go into Failsafe here in just a second. You're gonna see it happen. Watch this. I mean, this is insane. Look at this. I have never actually seen a drone do something that crazy by itself. You almost wonder if this thing was going to do a flyaway. So I'm just going to go ahead and walk back over here to the landing pad, because I'm assuming it's going to come back over to this direction if it's going to do an RTL on its own. And there it is, several meters up, many meters up, and it seems to be coming down in the middle of the field, like it decided to put the home point over there. So I was able to just go ahead and get it out of the RTL mode, and now I'm just going to go ahead and do it on purpose so we can see if it comes back over here. Just going to go ahead and hit the return to home button, and hopefully it'll come back and land on the pad. Would be perfect. Normally what I say is anywhere within 10 foot of a launch radius is usually going to be a pretty good compass calibration. So if you did it right, it should land within 10 feet. And the X22 is landing out in the middle of the field out there. It somehow reset its home point to the middle of the field. Very strange. So if you're over water or something like that, this is something to look out for with this particular drone. So that's way away from where it's at. Now what might have happened is that not good. So what might have happened is the fact that maybe it did a low voltage failsafe, and if that occurs, it's going to land wherever it is. Okay, so we're moving on to battery number 2, and I'm just going to go ahead and start the video recording there. And I have up to 22 satellites. This is great. It does get satellites pretty quick. It does pick up satellites, and you want to wait 1 to 2 minutes for this guy to totally get your home position locked in, because if you just put it down and load up your Wi-Fi and take off, you're gonna have issues. Now I did the auto takeoff there, and again I'm gonna wait about 30 seconds or so before I take off and fly out away from my home point. I just want to make sure that my GPS has a nice solid sort of and gets acclimated to where the triangulation is at with this quad. If the triangulation is not perfect on your hover in the first 30 seconds after you take off, it means that it doesn't have a good lock on where the position of the quad is, and that's dangerous, and that's going to make your quad start to toilet bowl. But here we can see that it has a nice solid lock, so that means the triangulation is almost perfect right now. It's not flying up and down. The day before when I flew this, it was actually going up and down, and I calibrated the gyro on board as well before I took off this time, so it does have a really nice solid lock, so we should be good to go. And I'm gonna go ahead and fly out here and do another range test for you guys, this time in a different direction. I'm just gonna head out toward this tree line, and this direction doesn't have quite as many obstacles in the way like the other direction had those super tall trees that I flew past. This time we're just gonna have a totally open line of sight with no interruption, hopefully, from any tall trees. And there's no tall trees at that end of the field. And just past that dark, the grass that's dead right there is right about 300 meters, because I've tested this direction before. And that's right about where we're going to lose Wi-Fi. So we're just going to watch the Wi-Fi screen there on the phone. And you can see it is getting a little bit choppy there. It did break up just a little bit there. It's not totally real time. And this, Wi-Fi transmission back to your phone, it's not going to be totally real time. But you can see it's sort of getting more choppy as I get to that line of trees right there. You can see that black line on my phone. That is the edge of the field right there. And it's completely frozen up right there. So I still have quad control, and I can see it out there at the edge of the field. And there goes the video. Completely lost at about 320 meters. It came back momentarily just right there. But that is just a still frame. And it's cutting out. Now it's back in. Almost real time. But it's going to cut out again. It froze up once more. It's going to go blank on me again. And if that happens, if you see that plane pop up on your screen, no, it's not a plane flying at your drone. it's just the freeze screen. That means your video completely lost. But the good thing about this quad is that you still have control unless it goes into failsafe. And if it goes into failsafe at your furthest distance away, you lose control communication to the drone. It will automatically return to home, which is great. And it works really well on this drone. I haven't had it fly off a different direction. I've had some other drones recently that had some issues with returning to home and will fly off in another direction, and you have to be ready for that because you might have your drone completely lost or damaged someone else's property. And I lost video again, but I still have an eye on the drone out there, so I can still see it line of sight. And I'm able to fly these drones way out line of sight, so I have over 6 years experience flying quadcopters. And right now it's holding its GPS lock pretty good. I'm just kind of cruising around the field here, and we'll try out that return to home again here before I set it down again. And my battery is already just about done, if you can believe that. So one of the cons about this particular X22 upgrade quadcopter is that it just doesn't have very long flight time because they added the extra gimbal hardware on there and the brushless motors on the bottom and the camera. That adds a lot of weight to the overall aircraft. I believe it's up past 900 grams. So at almost 1,000 grams, this has, and larger motors. And this is where I feel like they might have missed it with this particular quad. It's swinging over 8-inch props, and it has larger motors on this one. The motors are huge. And that is, maybe they over-motored this one, possibly, which makes your flight times shorter. But it also depends on the KV of the motor. If the KVs are a little bit higher, you're going to draw more amps out of the ESC, and in the end, you're going to have a way shorter flight time. But it's maintaining a hover there pretty good. And I'm interested to see if the return to home works again, or if it reset the home point again out in the middle of the field somewhere. If it does a low voltage landing, just keep in mind if you're flying out over water, you want to be really careful with the X22 over water. Most of the time I'm flying a drone like this, I'm usually out in a huge field somewhere. And this is not really a drone that's you're going to take on a vacation somewhere exotic. This is a pretty large drone to travel with. I used to travel with Phantoms all the time, and they were kind of a pain because the case you need to carry along with you is just gigantic. A lot of times now I'd travel with my Mavic or my Spark or my Mavic Air, and those the quality video on those drones are way superior to this. But if you're on a budget and you're just learning, this is a great quadcopter to get. Come on down. So now it is returning to home, and right now it is flying itself. My hands are off the sticks, and not bad. So it did land within 10 feet of where I took off from. So that's actually pretty good. That's actually pretty good for the X22. So let's go ahead and put another battery in there and try out some more flight modes for you. And one thing that was hard for me is getting the remote bound up to the quad. So I want to show that real quick here. I plugged in the battery, and I'm going to turn on the switch underneath the drone, set it back level, and going to go ahead and turn on while holding down the throttle stick. Now up and down really quickly, and you can see that it binds up within a matter of seconds. Now go back and watch that again. You're going to turn on the on button and hold down the throttle stick, and then quickly up and then back down into center. And after about, say, 10 seconds or so, the gimbal should be initialized. Now I'm going to go ahead and do that wacky sort of compass calibration. I've never seen a figure 8 compass calibration. Now it's going to beep when it's all done, and you're going to get solid green lights on the drone. And now we should be pretty much good to go, for the exception of the gyro. You want to make sure that you calibrate the gyro. Sticks up to the top left and the right stick down to the bottom right. And I should be good to go. Now we're going to try that orbit mode again. I'm just going to go ahead and take off and cut to a little forward in the video here. I'm going to go ahead and hit that orbit mode again, and we'll test out that orbit mode again, because last time it didn't seem to really do all that great. Now I'm playing around with the throttle. What I really want to see is if I can make the drone come down or go up during the orbit procedure. Because super high up, you have to start up at about 10 meters or it just won't start. So I am able to control the altitude, which is really great. So I'm just going to bring it down a little bit here, a little bit at a time. And this is a really slow orbit. I'm not sure how useful this orbit would be that high up. So it's really good that you can bring it down this low while the orbit is active. Because that high up it makes you look really small. Kind of useless. But there's the orbit mode. It does work. It's a little bit slow, honestly, but it does work. So thumbs up for the orbit mode working on the X22. That looks good. That's great. That's actually, I'm happy with that. So let's go ahead now and try the waypoints. Now we're on battery number 4. That's right, folks. Battery number 4 in this review. I've got the quad armed, so I'm going to try the app auto takeoff again. And now we're going to play around with the waypoints. There's several ways to do the waypoints on this drone. You can actually choose it once you activate the mode. It'll let you do a hand-drawn waypoint on the map, sort of like a freestyle waypoint draw for your pattern. If you want to draw a circle or you want to draw a square or some kind of freeform organic type of path, you can do that. And you want to be pretty high up. You want to be away from trees because it does not have optical avoidance. It'll fly straight into a tree for you. So think about that. Choose a nice big open field. If you're trying to do any type of aerial surveying with this drone, which would be very interesting, you will be able to do waypoints. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna pick the freestyle free draw waypoint mode on here, and it's gonna make a whole lot of checkpoints. But what's really cool about this is the fact that it doesn't stop at every single waypoint. It actually just keeps going and flies really smoothly along those individual waypoints, and it'll come back to the original starting point. So I've got my course all plotted out, and once you set your course and you plot it out on the screen on your map, you can flip back into that real-time view. And now I just press start. So the drone is going to go up to its specified altitude and stop for a moment, and then it's going to go straight into the coordinates on the map. So momentarily stopped, and now it's flying along the route, and I can go back to that live view like I was saying there. That's pretty cool. And this is really neat because it doesn't actually stop along the route. Some of the older DJI drones used to stop along the route. It would kind of get to one checkpoint and stop. And look at all those waypoints that it created. That's a lot of waypoints. And that's the hand-drawn route on the map, which is really neat. And it does say that you can preload your maps. It's awesome. It's working really good. That you can preload your maps on your home Wi-Fi. If you open up the app, you should be able to download your local maps straight into the app. Mine don't seem to be working properly, but I am out in a big field and there's no roads nearby here, so you can also choose to do the satellite view on here as well, which is pretty cool, or you can do that standard map either way, or you can do a combination of both, so you can have roads and your satellite terrain. Pretty cool. So it's actually working pretty good. The waypoints on this drone do work quite well. I'm very happy with that. We're way up there, a couple hundred feet up. I'm going to come back down just a little bit here. That was actually really awesome. And with a cheaper $200 drone, you know, that's pretty neat that it does have all these features. The only beef that I have with it so far is maybe that the orbit mode. Hey guys, that the orbit mode doesn't work all that great. But then again, I'm not sure I'm using it totally correct, to be honest with you. So I'm just gonna fly out here, and again, you know, I wish it did have a longer flight time. You might be able to somehow strap another battery on there. A lot of people are doing mods to the X22 because the frame is as large as something like a Phantom 4. So you have plenty of room to play around with these drones or add accessories on there or 3D print stuff. It's really a nice big quadcopter to play around with if you wanted to add extra things on there. It'll lift just about anything. You could do some beer deliveries if you wanted to. This is a big drone. So I'm just out there checking out the horizon again. Go back to my live view. And I'm going to hit the return to home here again. And we'll see how close it lands to my home point over there to my right again. And so far it's been pretty predictable. This drone is surprisingly good. And I've been very patient with it to make sure that I get a good review for you guys. And here it comes again. On its way back to the home point, coming down, and it looks like it's gonna land a little further away this time. It did kind of it's drifting to the left a little bit, and a little over 10 feet away. Almost landed on that little curb there, but not too bad. Not too bad at all. I am pretty happy with this drone. I did spend several days with it going over all the modes and features. I love the fact that they did add this brushless gimbal on there. It works pretty sweet. If I could just get the thing to record down to the SD card, I would be happy. But other than that, all the modes are working really good. The return to home works great. The satellites, I had up to 22 satellites on this drone, so that's very, very good. And you get 2 sets of props in the box. You get a lot of accessories with it, and it's tall enough to land in pretty tall grass. The landing gear is plenty tall, so if you want to add a different type of gimbal on the bottom of this guy could carry a GoPro or anything on here. And I did mod the connector to an XT60 so that I would have more batteries that I can buy without having to worry of using that other red connector, which is not quite as available. But that's about it for this review, guys. That was a full review of the X22, and I'm happy with it. So thanks again for watching my channel, you guys. Please do click on the link below and support me in my videos. Take care, guys. Have a good one. Bye-bye.